The superbike class has never been any closer, and we are spoiled for choice, having said that stricter emissions are bringing overall power down across the board, and the new Panigale is no exception this year, but 210 horsepower is still a ridiculous amount of power. Going out and buying last year's model for the few extra horses would be a mistake though, as the bike already has far more power than anyone can really use in the real world, and there have been several fixes to this model along the way, something all buyers should be aware of. The flagship Ducati is a technological tour de force, packed with all sorts of new technology to keep all that power in check until you really do need it. The all-conquering Ducati of the 90s is both a design icon and an incredible performance benchmark. History doesn't count for much in the fast-evolving world of sport bikes, but when your granddaddy was the 916, it means something. It was far from perfect, it was unreliable and uncomfortable, but as the years have gone on, Ducati continued to refine and build upon that foundation, and the Panigale V4 is the latest in the process of evolution. The V-twin engine configuration was part of Ducati DNA for over 40 years. They had won hundreds of races with it, but they did eventually hit a brick wall with it in terms of performance. The old 1299 was making over 200 horsepower, but it was and still is a handful in any environment, and even so, still got trounced on track. The only option for more power was to switch to another engine configuration, one that their old nemesis Honda pioneered on the track. The Panigale runs more or less the same chassis as the SBK race bike. It is a purpose-built race machine, and that is what you are paying for. Everything on these bikes is as light as it can be, everything is as technologically advanced as it can be, and everything contributes to blistering speed. No brand is as involved in top-level motorsport as Ducati. They truly believe in the win on Sunday sales technique. From the gorgeous swing arm to the meticulously sculpted fairing, the bike is one of the best examples of modern sport bike design philosophy. Everything is purposeful, yet elegant and incredibly well finished. In the past, they were always critiqued over their fit and finish, but since they have been part of the VW group ostensibly owned by Audi, that is no longer an issue. Everything from suspension adjustment to how aggressive you want the traction or wheelie control is at your fingertips with their latest electronics package. You can control just about everything through the TFT dash, which is detailed but still fairly intuitive once you have spent some time fiddling with it. As much as everything is at your fingertips, you will need to approach it with a degree of caution on track. It will take time and several laps around the track to get the bike set up right, even so you might end up making it slower. Once you have spent time on the bike and get it dialed in, it is a precision instrument that will challenge riders of every level. For some, its complexity will be something they love, but for others it might be a source of frustration. Nobody needs this kind of power on two wheels. In fact, in the wrong hands it is pretty dangerous, even with all the latest safety tech. Once you experience that mixture of exhilaration and terror, it becomes addictive. It is the main reason so many love bikes like this, and although the bike can never be considered accessible, it is likely the most accessible 200 horsepower motorcycle. These bikes are handmade, have the latest race-derived technology, and are very Italian. Nobody will ever consider a Panigale as good value for money. It is one of those machines that will give you everything at a price, not only in the financial sense, but owning one of these bikes also means kissing practicality goodbye. They get hot, they are uncomfortable, and are almost impossible to ride at slow, road-legal speeds. If you are going to pay $30,000 for a bike, you might be expecting the best of the best everywhere, and in terms of suspension, they deliver in the form of a top-of-the-line semi-active unit from Öhlins. That said, it also has an incredible level of customization that will end up encouraging you to make things worse rather than better. It is one of those bikes that if you find the right setup, it might be best to leave it alone or seek professional help. The Panigale is not the perfect sport bike they want you to believe it is. You need to approach it with caution. In fact, there have been several recalls in the past, and those won't end right away because these bikes are imperfect for a reason. They are made by hand, so they never will be perfect. But they have soul, and if that is something you value, then the Panigale won't disappoint.